One of the most frequently asked questions that we see is, what is a subnet? What does it do? Why do they exist? Let's walk through it in this video. So what's a subnet? A subnet is a subnetwork of the Bittensor network. When Bittensor first started, there was one network where you could create, where there was a machine learning project. But as the network grew, the team saw a need for multiple subnets where there could be multiple tasks, whether it's a commodity being produced, like a storage or compute, or a different machine learning process, like fine tuning or inference. And they created subnets. There's 32 subnets on the Bittensor network. So what are these 32 subnets? What do they do? Why do we care? Well, it's really hard to keep track of them because they do change fairly frequently. But one way you can do that is at the TauStats docs. We do have a page for each subnet that has a quick description and a link to the GitHub, which is the code that runs the subnet for Validators and Miners, a link to hardware requirements, and a little bit more information if it's available. And this is a great place to get started if you want to see what all the subnets are and learn what they're doing. The GitHub generally has an introduction as to what the subnet is doing and installation instructions, how to get started actually building and working with that subnet. The min compute will tell you what sort of devices you need to actually run a validator or a miner on that subnet. Very helpful for getting started when you're trying to become involved in the subnet. So, as I alluded to on the last slide, every single subnet has validators and miners. And the miners are creating the knowledge. They're creating the end product. And the validators are grading the miners. So the miners that do a better job based on the subnet incentive mechanism, maybe it's speed that they get graded on. Maybe it's accuracy. Maybe it's how much file storage they have available. They all get graded, and the miners with the best results get higher incentive. The validators that match what the other validators are seeing get the highest emissions as well. And as a subnet owner, it behooves you to create code that helps the validators and the miners they work together, but they also sort of compete against one another. And so part of the subnet creation process is building sort of that gamification around the subnet. If you want to create a subnet, you can register one. At the time of recording this video, it costs about 1,042 tau to register a subnet. Now, unlike a node, like if you register a validator or a miner, that tau is recycled. You don't ever get it back. It's burned and has to be recreated. If you register a subnet, this money is put in escrow, and should you get deregistered, you get it back. You can also use the Bittensor command line to find out what the log cost is as well. This is a chart from TauStats showing the emission of all of the different subnets from low to high. Now, why am I showing it low to high? Well, just like being a miner or a validator, the subnets are in competition as well. And if somebody registers a new subnet, the subnet with the lowest amount of emission gets deregistered. And they'll get the tau back, but they're no longer active, and all the miners and the validators that are on there, they're out of luck. So if you look here, it looks like subnet 31 has the lowest emission, but that subnet is still in immunity. When you register a subnet, you get 7 days to build up your emission, to get miners and validators interested, and to generate excitement around your subnet. So actually at this point, it's subnet 10 that is on the chopping block should a new subnet be registered, because it is the first one outside of immunity with the lowest emission. So you've decided to create a subnet. You put aside your 1,000 tau so you can register it. You've got to create the code for the validators and for the miners. And I sort of alluded to this. There's a checks and balances. You've got to figure out what the miners are going to do and how they're graded and how the results are. And listening to subnet creators, there's a lot of edge cases you have to worry about, because if the miner can cheat, they may cheat to try to get the highest emission, but it might not be something that's actually beneficial for the subnet. So you've got to work out all those edge cases to make sure that the work being done by the miner is actually beneficial to the subnet, and what the validators are testing is also beneficial to the subnet. addition, while you're testing all of this out, you want to be working with the root validators to make sure that they start giving you some emission, because as you add emission to your subnet, you will start to get more validators and miners interested, because there's tau to be mined, and there's, as soon as you start getting a percentage of emission, there's tau to be earned, and so you will get more miners interested in your subnet. So, brief introduction into what a subnet is, how to register a subnet, sort of the gamification of building a subnet, and the rules around registration and deregistration of the subnets. There's a lot more that we can go into. We'll probably create future videos to discuss about subnets, miners, and validation. And if you have questions, feel free to come to our Discord or ask questions down below in the comments. Thanks for watching.